Hi Peter. Right, so let's have a look at your footage. I've had a run through it a couple of times, so I know what kind of major points we need to be looking at. What I'm going to be doing first of all is the way we kind of operate this system is it's a screen recorder, so it's recording everything I say, all the kind of screen grabs, all the example videos, and all that kind of stuff are all just kind of real time as I put them on the screen. You'll see what I mean as we kind of progress through it. Right, first of all, so we've got you swimming. So it's a side-on view, a poolside view. It's not the best view to see things from. The other angles underneath the water and above are much more effective at kind of spotting faults and things like that. But what we can see from this position is the arm clearance, so how much distance there is between your hand and the surface of the water as you go through the recovery phase of the stroke. We can also see how high your head is coming, and largely you can see, to some respects, you can see your kind of body positioning, as in how far away from the surface your kind of backside and your heels are. So just let it run through for a second. I think you pause at the end here for a little while. Right, okay. So I'm just going to pause it here. So when we look at swim correction, there's almost like a hierarchy that we go through. I don't think of swimming faults as individual faults. So what I mean by that is that it may well be that your arms are not quite right, or your head's not quite right, your legs and your feet are not quite right, and all these different. You could look at them as separate faults, but I kind of look at it as a whole, because very often one fault will actually cause another or directly have an impact to another. And as a result of that, there's almost a swim correction kind of hierarchy, and that always starts off with the head. If the head positioning is incorrect, then the body positioning can be out, which can cause the legs to scissor kick, and it kind of goes on from there. So we always start at one end, and that's the head end. So if we just play this now, and I'm going to pause it there. First thing we see is your head coming right out of the water. We can see both goggles here. You've got a good, what they call a Popeye mouth, but that Popeye mouth, if I just show you this clip here, where is it? There we go. Oh no. Yeah, so this is what we should be looking at. We should be having a bow wave here around the head, and then just one eye out, one eye in, and then you can't see the mouth here, but the mouth, the Popeye mouth, if you like, is kind of as you are in the video. You kind of putting your mouth over to one side. If you look at how high your head is, you don't actually need to move your mouth because you've got all this space down below the mouth. So you're kind of, your mouth is doing the right thing, but your head could do with being about, I don't know, 4 inches lower. And you imagine if your head was 4 inches lower, that would make quite a substantial difference to the rest of the way the body sits. So if I continue to play this through, what we're also seeing here is you're breathing every single stroke. So every time you breathe into the right, every single stroke. Now I'm not sure if that's something you do all the time. Generally, if things are going to go wrong, it's when you're breathing. And if you're breathing a lot, then there's a lot of potential for things to go wrong more frequently. So the first thing we need to look at in terms of stroke correction is your breathing. Okay. Now, I'll come back to this one in a second. So if we have a look underneath the water, I'll just play it there and pause it there. Okay. So what we can see here is every time you take a stroke, look at your body positioning. Every time you take a breath, sorry. So your body position is right to down. So your hips drop. I'm not sure if you wear these kind of baggy shorts very much, but that's not going to help with drag. So what we've got here is a combination of things causing this, but it starts off with the head and the breathing. So every time your head comes up, your body will drop, and your body it causes your legs to scissor kick and split apart. And of course, this is all drag. So if your head was lower, and if we sort your breathing out in terms of how frequently you breathe, then this dropping down of the body should be improved and should happen less frequently. What you can see sometimes is you can see people their bodies will go quite flat in the water, and every time they breathe, they drop. So they go, flat, drop, flat, drop, flat, drop, and it continues like that. So if we get rid of that. Okay, so that's the first thing. You can see it there. Look, we can see it there. That's your body position in the water, very low in the water, and it's largely related to your breathing. It is also caused by when you breathe, you're putting your arm out, and that arm there is looking for, basically, you're looking for something to push down on, and that's why you see the bubbles there, pushing straight down. Okay, now, so that's the next phase of the correction almost, is breathing and then body positioning. So if you have your body in the correct position, then the arms won't be coming straight down. It'll allow you to have a bit more kind of purchase in the water. I'll come on to that in a minute. So if we continue to run it through. The next thing I notice is the amount you're kicking. I mean, you've got a good kick there, and you're kicking a 6-beat kick. I'm not sure again if that's something you do all the time, or whether you're just doing it now during this filming. 6-beat kick, particularly for an endurance athlete, is fairly tiring, unless you're a super efficient and very fit swimmer. I wouldn't advise swimming an Ironman distance race with a 6-beat leg kick. If I can show you, let's see if I can get this to work on here. Elites, Cassie Patton. Let's have a look at Cassie Patton. Let's see what hers is. She's an elite level swimmer, and just show you her leg kick. Okay, so we fast forward this through. See her kick? So she's almost kicking every time. If we pause that, every time the left arm comes down, then she'll kick down with the right leg. Every time the right arm comes down, you watch the left leg now, kick there. In fact, I'll leave her on there for a while, because what she does demonstrate here really well is the catch. And we'll come to that in a minute. Okay, so if we continue to play you through, so we'll have a chat about your leg kick as well. So at the moment we're looking at head positioning, and that's easy. There's some easy drills for looking at your breathing, breathing and relaxation. So if we can get you to breathe bilaterally, which probably fills you full of dread, it will balance up the stroke, because breathing on one side, particularly every stroke, will end up with a fairly imbalanced stroke, particularly if you're looking at open water swimming. It can lead you to, it can stop you or make it more difficult for you to swim in a straight line, because you're generally kind of biased to one side. So what we're looking at so far is breathing, head positions, and body positioning. Okay, I think what I'm going to do next, Peter, is I'm going to show you a video of Jono Van Hazel. The reason I'm going to show you this video is this is the guy that Swim Smooth, Mr. Smooth animation, which you've probably seen, is based upon. It's good to visualize his stroke, because he's got an amazingly smooth stroke, and we can refer to quite a lot of the elements in this stroke as we go. If I just find him on here, I'm also going to show you a clip from Paul Newsome in a minute, who talks about the benefits of bilateral breathing, and explains why it's very beneficial to spend some time working on bilateral breathing to balance up your stroke. But if I just kind of put this clip of Jono Van Hazel on first, if this works, there we go. Now he's an Olympian, amazingly smooth stroke, and it gives you something to compare against. If you look at his head position, his head almost doesn't move, and when he breathes, you look at which sides he breathes to. Breathes to the left, breathes to the right, breathes to the left. It's like a metronome, constantly rhythm, balance. I mean, it's just a beautiful stroke to watch. What I'm going to do now is just play you this video of Paul Newsome explaining about bilateral breathing.
Hopefully you've been inspired by the Mr. Smooth application to show you what an efficient, smooth freestyle stroke should look like. You may have also viewed the video clip here of Jono Van Hazel, arguably one of the smoothest strokes in freestyle you'll ever see. What was interesting about when we filmed Jono, being an elite swimmer, we asked him to simply swim for 400 meters up and down the pool. I didn't specifically ask him whether to breathe to his left or to his nation, i.e. for breathing. And yet when he finished, I asked.
I was going to pause that a second, let it give it a chance to buffer a little bit. It's obviously catching up. Let's try that again.
Was completely stupid and said, "Well, it helps keep my stroke symmetrical and balanced." You can hardly argue with that statement coming from such a symmetrical and balanced freestyle swimmer. It's very easy to look at some of the world's best swimmers in the pool and see that they only breathe to one side and think to yourself, well, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. But in reality, at least 80% of their training sessions will be done bilaterally to help improve the balance and symmetry on the stroke. Even if you're swimming in open water and may favour just breathe to the right-hand side, the ability to be able to breathe to the left-hand side comfortably in situations such as chop or when you're trying to actually draft on the side of somebody can really play into your favour. Bilateral breathing really is a very, very easy way to help improve the balance and symmetry in your stroke. And again, in open water, can be one of the easiest ways to improve how straight you swim and reduce the distance you swim over a given period. It's very, very good for those swimmers who tend to suffer from the classic thing to a unilateral breather doing is rotating very well to the side that they're taking a breath to, sometimes almost too much, even toppling over at 90 degrees and then the legs scissor kicking apart to provide stability and balance. But then on their non-breath side, tending to swing this left arm from the side like so. By developing better rotations to that left-hand side, and inadvertently by actually practicing bilateral breathing, the rotation to that left side becomes much more effective and the whole stroke becomes much more balanced and symmetrical.
Okay, so as Paul says there, it really is worth putting the effort in to balance up the stroke. And he talks about body positioning and rotation, and that's kind of almost where you start with improving your breathing. Okay, so what we'll do next is we'll play the video through again and talk about body positioning a little bit more. Let's try and get an underwater shot of you somewhere. Okay. So when we talk about body positioning, we're talking about the whole body. So at the moment what we can see is your chest. Your body position is actually quite low in the water here. And then you've got this kind of almost like a curve going up this way, where in actual fact, if we play, see if we can get, comparing you to an Olympian, let's see if we can get an underwater shot of Jono. Maybe not. Let me get another one. Let's bring Cassie Patton back up. Okay, there we go. You look at her, how high she is in the water. I mean, she's virtually on the surface. Her bottom is touching the surface of the water. Whereas you look at you, there's a good gap between your bottom there and the water, and then your heels are down at this end. And this is all related to your breathing and body position. Okay, so this is where we need to be starting with you. If I show you some drills here, there we go, fault fixers. And this is a good site actually. This is SwimSmooth app, which I'm using a lot for sample videos and all sorts of stuff really. It's got training plans on here and all sorts. As a coach, I subscribe to it, and it's extremely helpful. Right, low body position. No, we don't want that. Here we go. Okay, here we go. So what I was trying to find. Kicking on the side drill. Okay, now this is something you will need fins for. I'm just going to pause, turn the sound off on that. Now, the idea of this drill is to get you used to swimming on your side. And the main thing here with this is it allows you to practice your breathing. So you move your head, take one breath, put it back underneath, and you should be having almost your ear against the lead arm. See here? His ear is against the lead arm. So you take a breath, your head's back down. Okay? Now, one of the main reasons for demonstrating this and for doing this drill is because of this lead arm position. Because what we can get when we breathe, and we've got this with you, is when you take a breath, the hand is coming down, down, and down. Okay? But in actual fact, it should be staying out and providing some support. Okay? So if we go back to this clip, the arm should be staying out nice and straight in front of you. And again, if we go to Cassie pattern, look, same thing. Okay, the arm should be out in front of you. Yours does go out there when you first put it's slightly bent at the elbow, but it does go out there. But as soon as you take a breath, the arm comes in, it collapses down. Okay, that's what we need to fix. That's one of the things we need to fix. So this drill, the idea of this drill is it kind of targets several things really. It targets making sure you keep your arm outstretched when you breathe. It targets your breathing. You're allowed to practice your breathing and the rotation. Okay, so you get used to rotating. Now you do this drill all the way up on one side, and then you swap over and you do it all the way down on the other side. You do need fins. You can do this, and they do this on Saturday morning at the club session. We had them doing 616 and 636 and kicking on the side. I'll show you the 636 in a minute. But what happens is without fins, you're concentrating so much on propulsion and keeping yourself going that you can't concentrate on what you're doing with the front end. And the front end of the stroke is what's important with this. This is the drill bit. This is the important bit that you need to get right. If you're spending all the time trying to kick and trying to gain momentum and trying to fight against breathing, not being able to breathe properly, then the quality of the drill just goes to pieces. And that's the importance of fins. It gives you this propulsion. And then you can relax, you can take your breath, and you can concentrate on your arm position. You can see his arm position here, perfectly straight with the hands slightly tilted down. Okay. Now, if we do some swim sessions together, there's doing drills and there's doing drills correctly. There's no point doing drills if you're not going to do them correctly. If your arm position, what you sometimes see is you'll see this arm going up in this direction, or the elbow dropping, and then the arm coming up. There's no point doing that because you're almost drilling yourself to do it incorrectly. So it's worth having someone look at you while you're doing the drills. Okay, so we need to get you to do that drill. and he's swapped over there. He's taken a stroke and swapped over. Now what he's done there is there's a drill called the 616. So this is kicking on the side, first of all, where you go all the way along with one side. And then there's the 636 drill. Sorry, the 616 drill, I should say. Which is the same as the kick on the side. But you kick 6 times, take 1 stroke, kick 6 times, take 1 stroke, take 1 stroke, and continues like that. You can also practice a good hand entry when you're doing this drill as well. So you start to practice all the elements of a really nice stroke, and you see how straight he is. This is actually Paul himself doing this. He's lovely and straight in the pool, very similar to when we saw Jono van Hazel swimming. Very straight. You can use the black line as an arrow. And then just finally, 636 is just a continuation of 616. So they're the 3 drills. They're the 3 main body positioning drills. So we have 3 strokes, 6 kicks. 3 strokes, 6 kicks. Okay, so they're the main drills to start with. Let's go back to your clip. Where are you? Objective. Okay, so say we work on those things and we can get your body positioning a little bit higher in the water, we can get your breathing a little bit more relaxed, you will naturally become faster because this drag will be reduced. Okay, so it is worth putting the work in and the effort in. Okay, when you're dealing with swim correction, what you have is we have propulsion, so we want to improve propulsion, and we have drag. We want to reduce drag. Now, what we're doing with the head positioning predominantly is reducing drag. Okay, now reducing drag will make you go quicker, and it will also make it more relaxed, so you'll feel like you're breathing easier. If you're more relaxed and you're breathing easier, you'll be able to potentially put some more effort into actually having stroking, the propulsion phase, and we can work on the propulsion itself. Okay, so I think what we'll do now is we continue to run this through. Now, as I said at the beginning of this, there is kind of a stroke correction hierarchy, and one fault will impact on another. Now, we can sort out the leg kick. I mean, your leg's kicking pretty well, and you've got quite nice straight feet here. Some runners particularly have got what they call anchor feet, and they kick straight down. You've got quite a nice, looks like a flexible ankle, so that's really good. And your kick actually looks pretty good. So if we can sort out the body positioning and the propulsion, the front end of the stroke, then we're in pretty good place to move forward from there. Right. So work on breathing, work on body position. Now, once we start to improve the body position, we can also start to look at your catch. Okay. Now, what we're seeing with your catch, first of all, in fact, if we take it back to above the water here, going up the other way, I think we can get a nice close view of it. Okay, so what we're doing here is we've got quite a low arm, so there's a clearance between the water, surface of the water, and your hand, and the elbow is quite low. It's not excessively low, but it's quite low. If you're swimming open water, you need a decent amount of clearance there, because particularly if it's a mass start, you can have potentially other swimmers there, and if it's choppy, then you'll be hitting against the chop. Okay, so hand entry, and then what we're having here is your arm is coming in, your hand is coming in, thumb first. Okay, it should be coming in quite flat with the middle fingers spearing straight in forwards. Okay, now again, this is related purely to the body positioning. Your arm is coming in and then it's pushing over in that direction. So if I try and find the overhead view, okay, My camera positioning wasn't the best here. Let's try, it does get better in a second. Right, just run this through a little bit till we get some better position. There we go. Right, so what we can see here is, again, this is all related to body positioning, so the drills I've just shown you will help for this. Is your hand is, because of the way the angle the hand is coming in, your hand is entering the water very close to your head, and your arm is twisted slightly inwards, which is why your thumb is hitting the water first of all. So, and then if you carry on following it through, you look at the direction of travel of your hand. It's going that way. Okay, it's going over in that direction. Where in actual fact, you should always be going whatever you're doing in swimming should always be going the way you're traveling. Anything else going sideways in any way, shape, or form is not efficient. Is going to cause you to slow down. Okay. So what's happening then, if we continue to run it through, is your hand comes in and it pushes over towards the side. If you look at what your legs are doing now, in order to balance yourself up, your body have to scissor kick to provide balance. Okay, it'll happen exactly the same on the other side. Okay, there we go. See your legs scissor kicking there? Provide balance. All right, and this all comes back to your head positioning and your body position, the rotation. It's all related to what we've just spoken about, and that's why I say if we work on those things first of all, then we'll see some good improvements. Okay. The kick we can come to later on. The kick's not a problem. I think that'll sort itself out. But the main things we're dealing with here are body positioning, rotation, and then the hand entry and the catch. Okay. Okay. So hand entry and catch. Now, if you look at your hand position there, so if we just roll it back, okay, that's right, just to that point there. So you're taking a breath at that point, and wait for the camera to catch up. Right. Sorry about this, just wait for the camera to catch itself and sort itself out. Right, here we go. So, hand enters the water, you turn to breathe. Now, if you watch what this hand happens to this hand here, pushes out, pushes down, and it pushes straight down. Okay. Now, let's see if I can find an underwater shot of that. Here we go. So, pushes down. So the hand is coming down in that direction. Okay. So you're pushing down. Pushing down doesn't provide forward propulsion. Okay. Now, if we look at Cassie pattern here, so she's breathing. She's actually breathing at that point. So even when she's breathing, see, there's a headlock. Even when she's breathing, look where her hand is, still up. It's not started to push down. You're breathing, your hand is coming straight down here. Now watch what happens to her hand and her elbow here. She could actually improve this slightly because she's still got a slightly lower elbow. But watch, she suddenly, see what happens to her hand at that point? Forces her fingers and her hand down, and she has this high elbow. And this is where the speed comes from. Okay, so if you change your body positioning more to emulate that kind of shape, she's still breathing at that point, and look at her hand position now. Lovely high elbow. And now what she's doing is she's pushing directly back with her arm, her hand, and that is all propulsion all the way back there. Okay, same thing on the left hand side. See her hand suddenly snaps. Suddenly see that kind of snap of the elbow there, and look at that as perfect hand positioning. Pushes straight back. All that surface area is pushing back. Whereas if we play you through, you're pushing down, you're pushing down, you're pushing down. Then you come across inwards, and then you're pushing back. So you're actually only getting propulsion on that tiny little phase at the end there. Okay? So you might think it looks terrible, but and be disappointed with the amount of propulsion or the lack of propulsion that there is. But I'm hoping it demonstrates that there's huge gains to be had here by simply working on the body positioning, the hand entry, and then doing some drills on your catch. Okay, so in terms of hand entry, let's see if this thing works. Let's put hand entry. Hand entry. Here we go. Hand entry, spear. What I'm looking for is the javelin drill. Here we go. Have a watch of this. It does need some toys again, okay? So it needs a freestyler hand paddle. I'll turn the sound on.
A combination of two drills which we've historically done here at Swim Smooth for a long, long time. The first drill is to pop on a pair of flippers and kick on the side. Thinking about drawing your shoulder blades.
So this is the 6-1, same as the 6 that's kicking on the side, and the 6-1-6 drill we've already seen.
With one of these great Finnish freestyler paddles, which are actually very, very unstable on the palm of your hand, if you tend to cross over in front of your head, we can do the same side kicking exercise with the paddle just on that lead hand. But when you get to the halfway or the 25-meter marker, start swimming freestyle, only breathing away from the paddle. The benefit of this drill is that we know from experience that if somebody's going to cross over in front of their head and cause themselves to snake down the pool, it will typically happen when they're going to take a breath. Now, by only having the Finnish freestyler on the paddle, on the hand, away from which side you're breathing to, so for example, if I'm breathing to my right here, the paddle will guide my left hand forward and stop it crossing over the centre line. You can do this excellent sequence, the javelin drill sequence, by doing 25 metres kicking on one side and then 25 freestyle breathing away from the paddle, turn around and come back 25 metres with the paddle on the other hand, and then 25 metres of freestyle, again breathing away from the paddle. Always remember, just breathe away from the paddle. The idea is that it's trying to force you into an error. If you're going to cross over, remember that will happen when you go to take a breath into the side. The paddle will keep your alignment nice and streamlined. It's a fantastic little drill to do. We often use it here in Perth with our Swim Smooth squads during the warm-up sessions to actually get the swimmers really thinking about their posture and alignment and stopping that all-critical crossover, which often results in a massive scissor leg kick for many swimmers, creating a huge drag and slowing you down. It's a very, very simple exercise, and all you need are these Finnish freestyler paddles and a pair of flippers. Give it a try.
Okay, let's pause it there. And what we can do here is this is the kicking on the side drill, but with the freestyler hand paddle. So it makes sure that your hand stays in the correct position. Because the paddle has got a keel on it, if your hand starts to head off in this direction or is not straight, you can feel it on the keel of the hand paddle. Now, the reason I mentioned this for the hand entry is you can progress this drill to similar to the 6-1-6 drill we watched earlier with the freestyler hand paddles on. And they can you kind of almost spear the paddle into the water, and it makes sure that the hand enters the water straight, because if it doesn't, you can feel the paddle and it can sometimes come off your hand. But that's something that we can work through together if needs be. Again, some of these drills really need you to be watched by somebody to make sure you're doing them correctly, but you can practice by yourself. There we go. So at that point he starts to swim. Now you can actually do this drill with a hand paddle on both hands and use the freestyler paddle to spear into the water and keep the hand position in a good place. And we see watch him spear into the water and keep it nice and straight. Okay, really good drill for a whole combination of things, body position, and even his catch. If you watch the hand under the water, you can force the nose of the paddle down, and it helps make sure you've got a good catch as well. Okay, so let's get rid of Cassie Patton. Okay, so I think that's pretty much where, as far as we need to take it for now. There can be a tendency to overcomplicate things sometimes and just to kind of pile too much stuff on. But I think the point that's been made really is, I mean, you've got the fitness, you're willing to put the work in. There's some simple things that we can work on in terms of the breathing and the body position and the hand entry that will make a huge amount of difference. And it's just a case of working together to look for opportunities to get these drills done and to make sure they're done correctly. And then you'll see some. I'm pretty confident you'll see some good improvements with these, Peter. In terms of what you need, yeah, unfortunately, it does involve buying some kit. There are a lot of other drills which we'll move on to as time progresses, which you really will benefit from having fins. So yeah, sorry about that, Peter. I ran out of video there. I ran out of memory, so it suddenly cut me off. I think what I got to was talking about kit that you need. Yeah, there are a lot of drills that we're going to be doing which require you to unfortunately, buy some kit. They're not expensive. Like I say, I can get you these bits and bobs that you need. But they will get used a lot, and they're hugely beneficial. I take my big bag of toys every single time I go swimming. The main things you need are some fins, some long fins. Say long fins rather than the short stubby ones, because they give you a bit more kind of propulsion, easy propulsion. Some freestyler hand paddles, so you can the hand paddles with the keel on, so you can work on hand positioning. The Finnish agility paddles are good as well. They allow you to work on the catch, which we haven't come to yet. And they don't have straps on, so they will come off if you don't get your hand positioning right. So they're a great bit of kit. What else is there? There's the pull buoy. I think you've got a pull buoy. You need a pull buoy which is buoyant enough for you to keep your legs up. Some pull buoys are quite small, and the idea of the pull buoy is that it takes your legs out of the equation. If you've got quite sinky legs like I have, then either use two pull buoys or get one of the Hoob big buoys, and then get your legs nice and high in the water, and you can concentrate on the front end. So I think that's it. So fins, the two lots of paddles, and the pull buoy. Tempo trainer will be something worth getting at some point, but I can let you know about that in the future if needs be. They are great bits of kit for stroke timing, which we'll look at no doubt at some point. And also, I find them easy for longer sets because you can set them to beep every time you should be hitting a turn, so it keeps you focused. That's the Finnish tempo trainer. Yeah, and I think that's about it, Peter. I hope that's given you some bits of food for thought. Obviously, we can work together long term to get these things worked upon. It's one of these things where it's worth having regular either video sessions, or have me, or if you choose to, somebody else have a look at your stroke on a fairly regular basis, because you can have a stroke correction done and it can kind of slip another way, or you can develop another fault as things go. So it's worth having fairly regular checkups to make sure things are progressing. Yeah, so that's it. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you think. Feel free to ask questions as you do, as much as you like, and we can try and get this stroke worked upon. Got plenty of time to make some good progress before your race. We can make some real progress now. So we've got some faults specific to you that we can get stuck into. The main thing for me is you've got the effort. You've got the fitness. You're willing to put the work in, and it's just a case of getting these drills hammered home, really. Okay, all right. We'll like I say, give me some give me a shout and give me some feedback if you have any. I apologise if it isn't super slick. I'm still getting used to the system, and it's a bit funny kind of operating live. Is when you realise how many kind of stutters and stumbles and ums you say. But you know, but hopefully it's still helpful to you. Okay, cheers, mate. Bye.